Season 3 is finally here, meaning we are all back to square one with a new patch, our ranks rolled back, and a new chance to chase that elo bag. As an Eternity player myself, I have my predictions of 10 characters, 3 Vanguards, 4 Duelists, and 3 Strategists that you should be using for free game wins. Before we go into the main heroes, let's talk about the heroes that I think are probably going to be getting banned for most of you that you definitely want to consider learning just so that you can play them if they're open. The first one being Wolverine for sure, and then possibly Emma, Human Torch, with the last ban being pretty situational, which will probably be Luna Snow, to be honest. Wolverine is already an absolute beast, and with the new Phoenix team up coming his way, I just don't see this guy ever getting past the ban phase. If he does get through the ban phase and ranked, I think it's totally okay to just run a single tank composition and go either triple DPS or triple support. Aside from that, try to play away from tight corners and swing chokes wide so that you can spot him before he kidnaps you. This should be doable since he's only going to have really 1 range DPS shooting at you instead of 2 if they didn't have a Wolverine. I still think Emma is going to be an absolute beast following her nerfs as well. She still does incredible damage and will have a very easy time charging her beam into what a lot of people are going to be playing early on in Season 3. The Thing, for example, is going to be pretty popular and she is going to absolutely melt him like she always has. Remember though that just because a character got nerfed doesn't mean they're bad, and just because a character got buffed doesn't mean they're good. Mantis, for example, I just don't see her getting any play. Anyways, Johnny is going to be an absolute beast and should be banned every single game in my opinion. He has an excellent team up with Spider-Man that gives him one-shot potential, does even more damage now since he has that anchor damage bonus that no one's been talking about, by the way, and all around is just an incredible character. Eternity has already been banning him in Season 2.5 for a while now. People just need to catch up and learn this character. I have a guide for Johnny as well as Emma, so be sure to check those out. I do want to give an honorable mention though to Spider-Man being an absolute menace as well, but only with Human Torch. If you are thinking about banning Spider-Man, please don't. Ban Torch instead. Please stop banning Spider-Man. You guys are gonna make me go crazy. Let's move on to the Vanguard picks that really shouldn't be getting banned too often that you should consider playing or maining. These picks being Magneto, Groot, and oddly enough, Captain America. Magneto shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. For starters, he is great against Wolverine if he ends up going through the ban phase because he has his bubble. Outside of this, he is just incredibly flexible. He can bubble divers like Johnny or Spider-Man that want to get in. He can walk forward if your tanks want to play the Thing and get aggressive too. He also just doesn't mind shooting from main either. I mean, to be honest, he has the best of every single world. And best of all, he has a great team up with Emma and has the ultimate capable of winning games by just absolutely countering support ultimates. And as we've seen in Bronze to GMs with Iron Man, Magneto, and really any other character that's capable of canceling abilities like this, those are typically the characters with the highest win rates and the ones that really are getting played in the highest elos. He was in the last video of this kind on the channel, and he's really just gonna stay there because Magneto provides something to the team that no other character in the game can. That kind of flexibility has not been rivaled yet in the tank category. The worst part is that, I mean, to some people, Magneto is just a boring character. So if that's not a problem for you, you should definitely look to play him because that's really his worst quality. But next up, we have Groot. And I know I'm gonna turn some heads with this one and really just a lot of characters on this list, but you're gonna have to hear me out. Torch and Wolverine are getting banned really every single game if people are playing optimally. Punisher, who was really just a big counter to Groot's walls, just got really like hard countered. Not hard countered. He got hard nerfed with a lot of his nerfs as well. Like his turret does little to no damage. He barely gets any ult. Like sure, his AR still does a lot of damage to the walls, but I just don't think he's really going to be getting picked like every single game like we saw in Season 2.5. And that really leaves the only answer to Groot being Moon Knight, which gets hard countered by Dive, which is going to be pretty popular this season if I were to bet, and Ultron that for some reason everyone thinks is terrible. So I really don't think Groot is going to have a lot of problems finding good value in a lot of the games so long as you ban the right things. The only problem that I could really be seeing for Groot is how strong Phoenix is on launch, and I don't know how strong she's really gonna be, but if she is strong, she's gonna be able to pressure him harder than I'm really giving her credit, especially since people that want to play with Groot are typically gonna be pretty close to that Groot, so proccing a lot of those explosions might be a little easier if you're on Groot. I still think Emma is going to be a better pick than the Groot if she isn't banned, aside from really any situation, even if Phoenix isn't getting played played, but I'm kind of thinking that it's finally Emma's time to get banned by all elos, not just Eternity. I really think that she's been a really strong character for a super long time, and people are going to start catching up on this since, I mean, the third nerf that this team has tried to give her, she's still going to find playtime. So stop banning Spider-Man and start banning Emma. I'm telling you guys, you were going to win games day one if you do this. And finally, if Groot and Magneto are not your cup of tea, I know this one's going to sound even crazier than everything else we've said, but there are some games that Captain America is seriously good. These games being if things like Ultron are still getting banned and Torch and Wolf are on the board. Captain America is insane with Torch and Spider-Man, which is definitely going to be seeing some play, at least in the highest levels. Captain America is also pretty good at dealing with Hellas and Phoenixes if they're going to be absolutely dunking on your team. This is because his mobility is going to allow him to chase them, so they're never really gonna feel safe on their off angle. The only problem is that you really need teammates that know how to play with Captain America and are going to be able to follow up with what he is doing. With the DPS roster getting a pretty big overhaul, this is a lot more common though than in past seasons, so I actually want to talk about those duelists that might work really well with the Captain America amongst other characters. The first one being Psylocke, that I just cannot recommend enough every single season. She is absolutely insane at following up with dives if you happen to have a Human Torch or a Captain America that we were just talking about. Since I don't really think that Human Torch is going to get banned a lot day one, I think it'll eventually happen when people catch up, but on day one, if you have a Human Torch, I do think Psylocke's a really good pick with him. She's also really good at dealing with both Hela and Phoenix that are going to be played a lot as well, since, well, Phoenix is the new character and she's Hela. She's always been picked. She's always really good. So overall, Psylocke is a really flexible character that is really good whether your team is going to try to dive in or if they want to just brawl out the whole time, since she cycles between those two playstyles throughout every single fight. We have guides for her on the channel. I know that she seems really hard and just not approachable, but those guides are great resources if you want to learn those characters on day one so that you can get a jump ahead of everyone else. Now that the Punisher has gotten significantly nerfed and flyers aren't as oppressive as they used to be with all those nerfs to Iron Man amongst others, I really think Bucky is going to be a serious threat again, just like he was in the early phases of Marvel Rivals. He has incredible damage and sustain, and this was definitely shown during the Bronze GM we did of him on the channel. The fact that he can get his health up by using abilities, he doesn't even have to hit him, by the way. He can just get a bunch of HP for just pressing a button. In a meta like this where dive might be pretty good, Bucky's gonna be a serious contender here. What's really strong about Bucky though is his ability to deal with the increasing popularity of divers like Spider-Man, BP, and more, not just because he gets more health, but strictly because he has a hard CC dash that just takes people out of their abilities when they're on the supports and can just deal with them right then and there if you can connect it. With Invisible Woman also possibly finding more play too because Wolverine is getting some pretty crazy buffs, you know, Bucky's gonna have some good opportunities to possibly hook her out of her ultimate and carry games by just finding a pick like that, even if it's once a game. Conceptually, Bucky has always been a very strong character. He just got overshadowed by a lot of other characters that were just a little bit stronger than him. Next, we have Hela and Phoenix at the same time. I feel like it's wrong if I make a video like this and I don't talk about these two characters. I'm really struggling though between which one of the two is going to be better. I'm leaning on the side of Phoenix, but I haven't seen her in play or with numbers yet, so I might be wrong with this one. They kind of fill a similar role, and that's why I'm really held up tight about this. Hela will be able to take out Phoenix from range easily on a 1v1 because that's like what she does. She can 2-tap where Phoenix can't. But when Phoenix is played, she probably is going to have some type of dive pressure with her on her team. Hela really struggles into intense dive because she can only run away for so long before she gets overwhelmed and dies. So if I were to guess, these two are probably going to be played a ton in season 3, so get ready for that. And they're going to have this back and forth kind of dynamic based on what the teams ban, what the teams are playing, but neither is going to be like incredibly meta defining to the point where I think these characters are just going to get banned outright. And finally, for the last duelist on this list, I have a really hard time recommending this for everyone, but if you were struggling against that possible onslaught of off angles and dives that you're going to be seeing this season, I really could see Namor being a pretty solid pick. He has really good utility with the turrets, and with other characters in the DPS cast getting nerfed, he's actually going to get his spot back in the game, just like I'm predicting Bucky's going to get his spot back into the game. Also, I think the buffs to his projectiles that make him easier to hit and deal more damage are something that a lot of people really need to respect a lot more, because when one character is getting buffed and other characters are getting nerfed, it's like a 2x buff almost. It makes a lot more of an impact. He's also super easy to play in general because you can kind of just get passive value with your brain instead of your aim. If you know when to off angle, when to throw down your turrets, I mean, they're gonna shoot for you. So as long as you understand what you're trying to do, he's just a good pick to pick up if you're maybe struggling as a second tank into a Wolverine that you somehow let through. He's on my list to make a guide for soon too, so be on the lookout for that if you're struggling to learn him and want a little bit of extra help. And with the Duelists out of the way, this brings us to the Strategists. And with no surprise, I'm recommending Luna again. Why? Because she still didn't get her ultimate nerfed again. And I'm just so happy about this, right guys? She can still 2-burst flyers. She still has the best ult in the game. And if you want to learn her, we do have a ton of content with her on the channel. I do think she's really fun. I just think it's a little old that she's been this good for like, what is it now? I mean, 8 months? Like, come on guys, let's maybe switch up the support meta a little bit here. I also want to highlight that she is possibly going to start getting banned this season, or at least I think she should start getting banned. I don't know. I've always said that Luna should start getting banned in every one of these videos, and I still think in season 2.5 she should have been banned over like Hawkeye, but I think people are just a little bit too slow to banning a support because, I mean, if you just cut off one head, another one's gonna take its place being like C&D Loki. There's just too many options, and I don't think enough people really deem Luna being strong enough. So I don't know when that ban is gonna start really going through, but if you want to start banning Luna, I think it's actually a pretty decent ban. The next pick, I know it's gonna surprise people, but I'm standing on business. This is going to be a very good pick in season 3, and that is Invisible Woman. With the new buffs to her kit, she's gonna be even more consistent, even if you're not lining up your targets. So she'll be pretty good in dive compositions. And that being said, she's also one of the only characters that can hard counter Wolverine, since she can pull him away from whatever he pulls away from your team. Like whatever tank he pulls away, boom, he's back in your team. His whole leap is gone. You just completely countered his entire kit. And with him being as strong as he is, Invisible Woman, that's just one thing that makes her good. The other thing that makes her just absolutely elite over Loki and Cloak and Dagger rather, is her team up with both Johnny and the Thing that I know we're going to be getting play on day 1. If these characters get picked, you need to be playing Susan Storm. You need to be on that Invisible Woman because it makes them significantly better. And I also think that she's just going to be better than Loki now because, I mean, his ult takes longer to charge, but also Phoenix is going to absolutely destroy teams with Loki because if you don't place your clones right, you're just going to get absolutely chain reaction exploded on, and that is just not what you want to be dealing with Loki. I honestly think Loki, this might be his worst season to date, and at least we got one of the big 3 out. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, now moving on to another one. If you don't want to play Invisible Woman, or if you don't have a Johnny because he's banned, or if you don't have a Thing, yeah, she's really not that good, but that's going to happen a lot. But if that's not happening, it's going to have to be Cloak and Dagger that you're going to be playing. Why? Because she charges her ult insanely fast. It's actually really noticeable compared to Luna and now Loki with his nerfs. And the 28% damage boost on the flashbang is absolutely insane too. Like, no one is talking about this. Look to combo it with big engages, like when Psylocke looks to maybe flank for picks. Maybe Bucky gets a big hook on a tank and you need to get a little bit of extra damage. Or maybe Phoenix is going to be starting to get her passive stacks on the enemies and you can just look to flashbang in, she procs all of those, and boom, the whole team just instantly explodes. Just make sure that you're not going to be stacking your ultimate dashes. I see a lot of people doing this. Try to find yourself in the back line of the enemies and the very last dash, hit them with a flashbang, and then maybe look for a big pick. And now I know I only said that I was going to do 10 characters this video, but hey, I want to do an honorable mention. I want to give a little bit more of a bonus here. And that last honorable mention is gonna have to go to Ultron. Now I know he got nerfed, but this character, you guys are sleeping on him. He is still absolutely insane. The reason why is I think he is a great counter to dive, and he can actually deal with Johnny if he gets through, because Johnny can't really do anything about an Ultron that's just shooting him from across the map. The only problem is that for some reason, so many people in ranked think that Ultron sucks when he just doesn't. He is free elo. I'm telling you guys right now, get a 3 support composition or get an Ultron with an Iron Man, since Iron Man also isn't going to be getting banned anymore. I'm telling you, like, you should be running Ultron. You should be learning this character. He is very good in the right hands, and I don't know, I've just never seen Ultron really struggle to get value, even in hands that aren't really that good. So I don't know. That closes out today's video on all of the characters that you're going to be wanting to play in season 3 if you're going to want to climb fast. Even that honorable mention of Ultron, guys, I'm telling you, it's going to be really good. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, let me know in the comments down below. And if this video gets enough likes, I'll make sure that I make this every single season for you guys if you enjoy this educational yapping that I try to do every season. So thank you guys all so much for watching. But until next time, I've got to peace out and pass out. I'll see you in the next one.